What if the life you're living right now isn't actually the life you chose? Think about that for a second. Not the job, not the routine, not even the personality you think is you. What if most of it was programmed into you before you were old enough to question it? Because something strange happens to people as they grow older. When they're children, they move toward life naturally. They create things for no reason. They ask dangerous questions. They imagine impossible futures with complete seriousness. Then slowly, that disappears. Not all at once. That would be too obvious. Instead, it happens quietly. A teacher tells them to focus. A parent tells them to be realistic. A failure embarrasses them in front of other people. A dream becomes impractical. A risk becomes irresponsible. And eventually, without even realizing it, they begin shrinking themselves voluntarily. Not because they're weak, because their brain learns that safety is rewarded and uncertainty is punished. That's the part most people never see. Your brain is not designed to make you extraordinary. It's designed to keep you alive. And for most of human history, those were very different things. 200,000 years ago, survival depended on caution. If your ancestors explored too far, trusted too quickly, stood out too much, ignored the tribe, took unnecessary risks, they died. The careful humans survived long enough to pass their wiring on. And eventually, that wiring became you. Which means right now, in the modern world, your nervous system is still reacting to discomfort like it's danger. That hesitation you feel before speaking honestly, before starting something important, before changing your life. Your brain reads that moment as threat. Not metaphorically, biologically. Your heart rate changes. Stress hormones rise. Your body prepares for survival. And suddenly checking your phone feels easier than confronting your future. That's not laziness. That's ancient programming wearing modern clothes. But evolution was only the beginning, because civilization took those survival instincts and built entire systems around them. Look at school for a moment. Rows of desks, bells controlling movement, permission to speak, punishment for mistakes, rewards for obedience. For years, children are trained to avoid being wrong instead of learning how to think. And eventually, many stop creating altogether. Not because creativity disappears, but because judgment arrives first. By adulthood, most people don't fear failure itself. They fear looking foolish while failing. That fear controls entire lives. How many people stay silent in meetings even when they have something valuable to say? How many stay in relationships that quietly destroy them? How many spend decades fantasizing about a different future while doing absolutely nothing to move toward it? And honestly, have you ever noticed how normal that's become? People call it maturity. Sometimes it's surrender. Then came the digital world, and everything got worse. Because for the first time in history, human attention became one of the most profitable resources on Earth. Every notification, every scroll, every algorithm, designed to keep your mind reactive instead of reflective. Your ancestors had to hunt for stimulation. Now stimulation hunts for you. And the terrifying part is how quickly the brain adapts. Silence starts feeling uncomfortable. Stillness becomes unbearable. Deep focus feels unnatural. People want transformation, but many can no longer tolerate the boredom required to build anything meaningful. That's the trap. The modern world floods the brain with comfort while quietly starving it of purpose. And most people never realize it's happening because everyone around them looks the same. Exhausted, distracted, emotionally numb, functioning, but not fully alive. There's a concept in neuroscience sometimes called the amygdala hijack. The amygdala is the ancient survival center of the brain. Fast, emotional, protective. Its job is simple: detect danger, keep you safe. But the problem is, it doesn't understand the difference between physical danger and psychological risk. To your nervous system, sending that vulnerable message, Quitting the stable job, starting over, being judged, can trigger the same alarm system that once protected humans from predators. Different century, same fear. Which explains something most people secretly struggle with. Why intelligent people sabotage themselves constantly. Why they procrastinate on things they genuinely care about. Why they wait for confidence before taking action, even though confidence usually arrives after action, not before it. And once you understand that, you start seeing the world differently. You realize most people are not trapped by lack of talent. They're trapped by invisible conditioning, a lifetime of rehearsed fear. Marcus understood this too late. At least that's what he thought. For 12 years, he carried the same idea inside his head. A business, a real one, not fantasy, not wishful thinking. He had notebooks full of plans, budgets, research, voice notes recorded during lunch breaks. But every time he got close to starting, he stopped. The excuses always sounded intelligent. The economy isn't stable, the timing isn't right, maybe next year, maybe after more savings. But deep down, it wasn't logic, it was fear disguised as responsibility. And one night, sitting alone in his kitchen after everyone had gone to sleep, Marcus finally asked himself a question that changed him. What if I've been calling my fear maturity this entire time? That question haunted him. Because once a person sees the cage stops feeling invisible, and this is where everything changes. Because your brain may be programmed for survival, but it is also capable of adaptation. Neuroplasticity proved something revolutionary. The brain can rewire itself. New thoughts create new pathways. Repeated actions strengthen them. Fear weakens when confronted repeatedly instead of obeyed automatically. Which means the voice in your head is not permanent, it's trained. And anything trained can be retrained. That's why courage matters so much. Not because fearless people are special, but because courage interrupts programming. Every meaningful life begins the same way. Someone feels fear and moves anyway. A writer opens the blank page anyway. An artist publishes the work anyway. A lonely person starts the conversation anyway. A broken person tries again anyway. And at first, it feels unnatural. Of course it does. You are teaching an ancient brain a new reality. You are showing it that discomfort is not death. Embarrassment is not extinction. Failure is not annihilation. Slowly, the nervous system learns. The fear may not disappear completely, but it stops being in control. And maybe that's what freedom actually is. Not the absence of fear, the ability to hear fear without obeying it. Because the truth is, most people spend their entire lives waiting for certainty. But certainty is the illusion that keeps ordinary lives frozen in place. The people who change their lives, the people who build extraordinary things, the people history remembers, rarely feel ready. They simply become tired of abandoning themselves. And maybe you've felt that too, that quiet frustration, that sense that there's another version of your life somewhere nearby, waiting. Not a perfect life, a real one. A life where you stop negotiating with your own potential every single day. Because in the end, the biggest tragedy is not failure, it's adaptation. A person adapting so completely to a small life that they eventually forget they wanted anything larger. So yes, your brain was programmed by evolution, by fear, by systems, by survival. But awareness changes something. Once you recognize the pattern, you gain a choice. And maybe that choice is the most powerful thing a human being has. To look at the fear, look at the conditioning, look at the voice that says stay where it's safe, and answer no. Because the cage was never locked. Most people just stopped reaching for the door.